Hearing none, we'll move into the presentation about our secondary math program update. As you're coming forward, thank you for being here, both of you. How long have we been in this new math program that we're currently working with now? Can you help?
This is our
Third year. Very good. Thank you. And you're going to present some information in regards to the math curriculum. Thank you.
All right, so I thought it'd be fun just to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to do a little teaching. All right, so pass these around. We got some cylinders, some spheres, some cones. Start with some manipulatives and concrete representations. Check them out. And I'm going to take you through a sequence of lessons that I teach with 8th grade. So I teach 8th grade currently. Previously to this year I taught 6th grade, so I have perspectives at both grade levels. All right, so we go back and we review or bring back in some concepts that they learned in 7th grade and also 6th grade. So one of the warm-ups revisits area of a circle using pi times r squared, radius squared, to get the area, because we're moving into cylinders. Okay, so we need to know the base of a cylinder as a circle. And since we're doing volume, we also bring back in volume of a rectangular prism so they can see the connection between the height of the prism is also the same kind of thing as the height of the cylinder. Okay? So we talk about that, they make some discoveries, and then we are able to come up with the formula for a cylinder. So now they take big B represents the base. What shape is the base, everybody?
Circle.
Circle, okay? So we replace that with pi r squared. There's your formula for volume of cylinder. Then we take that, we practice it in many different ways. Sometimes they have the volume and they have to find the radius, they have to find the height. Okay? And then, like I said, we practice it and apply it with many different real life scenarios, whatever we need to do to cover the content. And then we use the background knowledge from volume of a cylinder to move into volume of a cone. So, we're going to do a quick notice and wonder. So we're going to show this little video here, and I want you to think of one notice and one wonder as you're watching the video. While we're getting ready, any predictions as to what could happen? No? I'm trying. Board members, any notice? Let's hear some notices. What did you notice? Don't be afraid. Come on.
We were collaborating. John was right.
Code was 1/3 of the total volume of the cylinder.
Three
Lucky-
cones.
lucky
fit
guess,
in the
3 cones.
cylinder. Anything else you noticed? One more. You did one more.
I noticed it's been way too long since I've done geometry.
Can be as simple as the water's blue.
I was going to say that.
Good job, Mike. Good job. I'm proud of you.
Because then sometimes that becomes a wonder. Why is the water blue? Why do you think the water's blue?
So you can see it.
So you can see it, right? Okay, how about some wonders? Let's hear another wonder.
Why did we pour the water into the cone and then the cylinder versus into the cylinder and then into the cone?
Ooh, interesting. So I think because we're going from cylinder to cone, we're trying to see what happens in the cylinder. Okay? So some other things that you may not have noticed, but at the beginning, they stuck the cone inside the cylinder to show that the cylinder and the cone had the same height. And he flipped it over to show that the base of the cone and the cylinder were also the same. So you can see the relationship when the cylinder and the cone have the same height and the same radius. 3 of the cones will fit in the cylinder. Okay? So the kids learn that, they practice that in the next activity here and come up with that formula. So what do you think is going to happen to the formula? What do you think is going to happen there? So the volume of the cylinder and...
Divided by 3.
Yeah, we're going to stick a 1/3 in there. Or some kids just like to divide by 3, that's fine as well. Multiple strategies, we like that. We like to look at different ways of thinking. Okay, so then we keep going. We move into sphere. You saw I had some spheres in the cans. What do you think is going to happen here?
I would say half.
Half and half. 2.
So we have a sphere inside the cylinder. Any predictions?
2.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah. 2 to 2 or 1. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of volume around. A lot of volume around. Nope, it's 1. It's 1. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so what can we say about the sphere?
2/3.
2/3 of the cylinder. What else can we say about the sphere?
Same diameter.
How many cones make up the sphere?
2.
2 cones will make a sphere. Anything else?
They kept with the blue theme.
No, I was going to say the water's blue.
We could also say the cylinder, a full cylinder minus a cone will give you a sphere. Okay? So we have all these different ways to represent it. We use different ways to come up with this formula as well. This one took a little bit more time because we had to convert some things. But essentially, once they learn each of these through visualization, using concrete methods, they even practice, as we do this, we practice drawing a cone, we practice drawing a cylinder, we practice drawing the sphere. And once they learn all the formulas, starting with the concrete, moving into the abstract, from representational to abstract, then we practice using the formula. Okay? So basically here is what a sequence of lessons covers. We start by building on prior and background knowledge. Move into making some connections, and those could be using manipulatives, visual representations and pictures and models and different things. And then making that transition from concrete to representational, which is, like you guys have the 3D figures I gave you. And then, like I said, they draw these figures and then move into the formula. And then can use the formula to solve whatever problem they need to solve. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so all of this to help them to learn and think critically and to apply these things to real-life problems, which helps them on BSSA. So here are some sample questions involving volumes and stuff you just learned. I'm going to quiz you in about a month, so you better remember what I taught you. Okay? All right, so again, here's some sample PSSA questions. So as in the first one, they need to remember to use the radius. Radius is the part of the formula they need to remember. Okay? And a lot of times the PSSA questions ask you to do multiple things. So you might have to do some kind of multiplication or division or something because you need another piece of information before you work towards the answer.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Here, are 2 more questions. So these 2 questions, they left their answer in terms of pi, so they didn't actually multiply by 3.14. They left pi as part of the answer, so you're also looking at multiple types of numbers. So students have to learn that as well. Working backwards, so like the first question, part of the sculpture question, they are given the volume, they got to work backwards to find the radius. Okay, so all these things that we do in the process of their learning is to help them look at different ways of finding things. Some of them might think of a different or better strategy. It's always fun to share how they came up with different answers, and the kids love to share their strategies because maybe that will help a student that's struggling a little bit, and they'll say, "Oh, I get that idea. I'll go with that." Okay. It also helps them to retain their the content that we are covering. So having taught 6th grade and then moving to 8th grade this year, I can see the students are retaining at a better rate than they did the way I taught previously and with different content. All right, so some celebrations. So this is the future ready data. I pulled last year's data, so you can see our academic growth last year was at 56%, which was below the state average growth score and below our goal. And you can see this, so this was from last year's BSSA scores. You can see we're at 88%. Statewide, we're above the statewide average growth. Statewide was about 75, see 74.9. So that's a celebration for us. We're heading in the right direction. And for a breakdown, for some of you that want to know, the economically disadvantaged students were also at 88%, and our students with disabilities were at 79% growth. So I think that all right, and then just to kind of look back over the years, our previous curriculum, the last year we taught that was in 2022. So you can see we're not too bad. We're still above state average for those 3 years. 2023, you can see in 8th grade we had the dip, and that's typical when you transition to something new. Teachers have to get used to it, students have to get used to it, and then we start to bounce back. So I'm excited to see what happens at the end of this year, see how much growth we've had. All right, and I don't have the chart for this, but in discussions in our data meetings at school, I also know that our iReady is also showing high growth, and students are getting back into a grade level content as far as grades. So instead of being, an 8th grader that's still at the 5th grade level, they're making progress and getting closer to where they're supposed to be. Okay. Just a couple last quick things. So I know some of the concern was about changes we've made. So I know with middle school, we only have 40-minute periods, so we've really had to use our professionalism in making decisions about what to cut out of the curriculum or what to, as far as activities that were given, and how to make it all fit in. We also noticed that we need more time for practice. So we've been given the liberty to make those decisions to do what's best for students. So hopefully that answers some of the questions that have been going around. Okay? All right, thank you. I'm glad you all got to learn about volume.
I was looking at how to factor trinomials, but I don't think I have hands-on for that. So, in terms of the high school, really I'm going to focus on the Algebra 1 because that's where we put the bulk of our time. And the guiding question, the question that we've asked ourselves for about 2.5 years now is, how do we ensure Algebra 1 success while we're still preparing students for the case study? It's a two-part question because Algebra 1 is a graduation requirement. It's one of the few classes when you get to the high school, you need to pass this class to get out of Big 3 high school. So we have to address that issue first before we even start to think about case study. One of the things that we did this year is we introduced a two-part Algebra 1 sequence. In other words, we took Algebra 1 split into 2 parts for a certain demographic of students that would really benefit from that. So we can't control standards, we can't control the NP, but we can control, to a certain extent, the pace at which we are expecting the kids to do this material. And I can say, having taught that start to finish the first semester, we've gotten a lot of bang for our buck from that. Looking at some Keystone scores, that's all today, a lot of bang for our buck. And that's exciting. Looking at these students finding that success in a graduation mandated class. And hopefully, maybe years from now, when I go to the dentist and I sit down, I won't have somebody say, what do you do? And I say, I teach math, and they go, oh, because that's just what happens. Maybe they'll say, okay, like, it wasn't my favorite, but I could do it. So that's the goal. Let's get to the point where we can do it. And then focus on how do we show that on the Keystone exam. And a lot of that came through this curriculum. I'll show you one of the main driving forces why. Wait there. That, don't bring me. I don't do that. But I just want you to see it. And just know how you feel when that shows up on the screen. Because our kids take that Keystone, and that's what shows up on the screen. That's a sample Keystone question. When that shows up, we need to get these kids to the point where they look at that and they say, okay, I know how to approach this and I can. Not wow, what is going on up there? So our main curriculum alignment over these years was to get this vertical alignment. So we know grades 6 through algebra 2, really, I guess kindergarten through algebra 2, what have they seen, what have they learned, how have they learned it? So then we can build on it. We don't have to go back and look at, well, what method was used? I know, I can check. I know exactly what method was used. I can build on that now. So that's a great thing that we can implement in the last 3 years. Promote active student engagement. So in other words, every day, I want the kids to see something like what you saw on the screen. That way, whenever they get to a Keystone exam, it's not a big, whoa, what's going on? It's, okay, it's another one of these. I can approach this. So that's part of what the illustrative math program does. It gets students thinking in that direction, as opposed to necessarily everything being formulaic, it's mathematical. How do I think math, instead of how do I just necessarily do this math problem? If we can get that sort of thinking, we can get a lot out of our students, more than they think they can do, and more than necessarily what we've seen in the past in terms of standardized results. Last thing we've done a lot of in Algebra 1, we've incorporated graphing technology. On the Keystone exam, they take it on a computer. There's a graphing calculator on there, a pretty robust one, to be honest. So let's use that. Let's make that one of those tools that we have in the classroom to use. So what do these things look like in practice? Real quick, in the upper left, just a very typical warm-up I give to the students. Hand it out, hey, you have 3 to 5 minutes. What can you do? And if you look at that and say, okay, that looks a lot like that Keystone question. So getting the students working in 3 to 5 minutes, I can see where they're at, I can see what they know, and I can build on it. As opposed to me being the starting force every day. They can build momentum on their own. They can begin to take that ownership of that learning, and then they can develop with me from there. I still go through, I still teach, I still talk them through things, I still show them, I still make sure that we're ending in the same place, but we're starting with what they know and go from there. The bottom, that's a review question I put up this morning, actually, and I said, hey, this was 3 weeks ago, what can you do? And as I walked around, I counted no less than 5 different methods they were using. And that warms my teacher heart. Nobody else would really care that much about y intercepts and x intercepts and slope. But when I look at it, I say, okay, that one's using technology. That student is looking at one method. That student's looking at another one. Like, they own that burden. It's not just what method did I show them, it's what method do you remember, and what can you do now? So that's the sort of thinking that I'm really starting to see more of. It's exciting. Now, are we there? No, not even close. There's this willingness barrier that we have to get over sometimes. Am I willing to try? Am I willing to start? That's why I always tell the students, get your whiteboard and write something down. Because you're going to erase it either, if it's wrong or right, it doesn't matter. You're going to erase it eventually, so try something. They have nothing to lose. So, looking through what we've done, the last thing is just a culture of collaboration, and this is mainly with high school teachers. There are 5 of us teaching Algebra 1. You could go to any single classroom within 1 or 2 days of each other and see the same lesson. Lessons not necessarily that we just took straight from source material, lessons that we adapted to the needs of our students. Using the illustrative math as a curricular resource, building from there, and it really just promotes an overall higher level of algebra throughout the school. If everyone's doing the same thing and we're all working together to build the best thing possible, it's going to be better than any of us could do. So that's one of those things that we really worked on. So how do we measure success? I mean, I can see it up here and say it's really great for me to look around and see, but how do I measure data? I was so jealous of all the numbers I got to give. I was really jealous for the last half an hour because I don't have that many numbers to give. I wish I did. Our data comes from things like the cohort data. There we go. This is the data that's available online. And this is the data that Dr. Ricker showed. But the difficulty for us is this data really doesn't help us make decisions on recent curricular impacts. Let me explain just a little bit of that. So for the 8th grade data, when it says 2022, 2023, that's the students that took the exam during that year. But for our data, when it says 2023, 2024, that's when those students are juniors. So I went down to the lower left and gave a little context. Students that are included in that 29.9%, vast majority of them actually took Algebra 1 in 2021-2022, our first full year back from COVID. Students actually ended up taking Algebra 1 in 2019-2020 if they were in our advanced 7th grade group, a group which never actually took the keystone. So they're not even included in that 29.9%. So I always remind myself when I look at this cohort data, back it up 2 to 3 years. That's the instruction that it's really referring to. And that makes it really difficult for us to look at that data and make any decisions. So to be honest, none of the data up there actually involves any of the curricular changes we've made in the last 2.5 years. But that data's still to come. And that's what's difficult for me, because we look at more than just that. We look at end of course data. Like I've seen the numbers coming from the last 3 to 4 keystone testing windows. And I'm happy, I'm excited. I wish I could put those numbers up there. But they're not publicly available, they're not standardized. They are numbers that we pull from the testing to look at how our students do. And it's progress, it's student growth, it's progress in proficiency, it's progress that's showing us that what we're doing is making an impact with these kids. Lastly, here are mid-course data. There's data I look at when the students are still in front of me. Diagnostics, benchmarks, I can throw a lot of words out. But one big idea is in the fall of this year, our diagnostics that we gave our students performed at a higher level than they had at pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, whatever you want to put it as. And that's a world that the country wishes they were seeing data like. I think it's 49 out of 50 states have not gotten back to pre-pandemic math levels. So we are working our way where we want to be? Not yet. But are we moving in the right direction? Absolutely. This is where I wish I could put all those numbers up there. But that data is there. It's available. It's harder to tell because there's a lot of factors that go into it. But when you look at what we're doing in our high school math classrooms, that's the direction we're headed. A couple other things. High school, I know it's not just Algebra 1. So geometry, Algebra 2 fall under this same sort of idea. What are we doing? Why? How are we working? Oddly enough, we teach computer science. It's a long story. But we've aligned those classes too for students that are interested to give them a basic understanding and opportunities for more. There's multiple options for graduation. We've introduced alternatives to Algebra 2. There's a financial algebra class that really marries what the real world is along with this algebra idea. We've had more growth in our upper level AP calculus than we've ever had. Students taking second levels, taking independent studies below that. So what we're doing at the Algebra 1 level is just more of a microcosm for what's happening across the board in terms of our math at high school. So at that point, I just tried to take 2.5 years and condense it to 8 minutes. I'm sure I missed my mark on that. But I'll just open it up if there's any questions and clarifying comments or anything that you would like to know. I could stand up here and talk all day about data, but not about it.
Please, Lisa, go ahead.
Does your data include the 8th grade students that are taking Algebra 1? Because I know they have to take the keystones as well. Does that include the 8th grade?
Yes. So the cohort data will include the 8th grade students eventually. Because it takes every student in their 11th grade year. We intentionally look at data, pull out just the kids in our classes, which there are other populations in school that are taking it. It's on cyber, some of the learning support classes, things like that. But we drill down to who were the students in front of us, how did they do, and where can we do better with them?
Other questions, comments from the board?
I have a question.
Yes, Mrs. Susan.
We hear a lot about the growth, and we were talking about the growth, and I'd just like that to be explained a little bit more. So when we're measuring that growth, are we measuring student in 6th grade, the beginning of the year, looking at 6th grade material that they haven't had yet, then looking at student at the end of the year with sixth grade materials that they've now had. Is that the numbers, or is there some other, I don't understand how
So
it
for
happens.
for PSSAs, we look from year to year, so like the grade PSSA, and then we'll have the sixth grade PSSA. The growth through the iReady, so iReady is a progressive test, so it goes between levels. So it's not technically just sixth grade content.
Okay.
It might bump them down to fifth grade content, depending on where they are, and then they even rise up in, like I have some students that are above where they are, like middle of eighth grade. I might have some kids that are testing at end of eighth grade.
So when the iReady tests are measuring, and we're getting these numbers, are we measuring, we're trying to get 1 year of growth in 1 year? That's
Yes.
that's the measurement
Yes.
we're working off of?
Absolutely. The state's very much into that too. They set the metrics, they set the numbers, they set whatever the formula is. Great question. And then they look at the results and they interpret them for us. So then we just get the results of did they show adequate growth from 1 year to the next.
Well, Dr. Groover and Mr. Ginter, I can see your excitement. I can see your dedication to helping our students achieve. Just in what you kind of showed and taught us, I'm glad I don't have to do those big questions. And Mike was here beside me. He was having trouble just looking at the numbers, looking at the words. But
I can do it.
so I just want to thank you for your efforts. I know it's a big challenge. I know it has an impact on our district greatly, but it has a bigger impact on our students and preparing them for choices and careers and challenges and formulas and all that is going to make a difference in their life for the rest of their life. And no matter what occupation they go into, hopefully they can apply some of those things. I was interested, especially Dr. Gruber, how you were sharing real world examples. I think that's extremely important for our students. Don't stop doing that. Numbers and formulas are great, but it's more important, can I figure out how much concrete goes in this patio, or those different things too. I think that's important. So, other comments or questions? Thank you both for your time. Hope you continue to have success with our students. Thank you. Any other items for committee of the whole from the floor at this time? I'd like to call for adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole for March 17th, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mrs. Booth, second by Mr. Myers. There is no discussion. I assume everyone votes in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. I would say the committee of the whole meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:46. I apologize that we are running a little bit behind, but we've had some great information both on finance and math curriculum and policy committee. So I'm going to call the regular board meeting agenda to order for March 17, 2025. Thank you for those of you here and those that have joined us online. At this time, I will call the meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance. Please rise as you can.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you for your attendance and your interest in our school, our community, and our students. Student, staff, and recognition board reports. I do not think Evelyn is here, but I have August Delmer. Is that correct? Do not see August at this time. That was my note. Okay, so we'll give that on hold unless that person shows up. Reading of correspondence. Do we have any of those this evening, Dr. Graphic?
Do not, sir.
Yes.
The high school here present during the staff report, is that now?
Yes, my mistake, sorry. We do have a staff report. I glanced over that in the agenda, my apologies. So staff recognition for a report by the high school staff, is that correct?
Correct.
Very good. I see they're not all here, but you're here to represent, so thank you very much. So at this time, we'll have a staff recognition, a report from our high school staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Kraus, one of the high school counselors. I'm here today as one of the BSEA building reps for the high school. I will let you introduce yourselves. I'm Elizabeth Weller. I am a high school mathematics teacher, but I'm also here representing BSSD.
And I am Pete Myers. I'm a high school English teacher, also representing BSSD.
He doesn't really teach him.
I know.
That's what I wanted.
So tonight we're here to talk to you about some of the unique opportunities and the authentic learning opportunities that our students have in high school. So Heather put a email out to all of our staff and said, send us some things you'd like us to highlight for the board. Things that we maybe don't always highlight and things that we should make sure some people are aware of that are happening. So a couple of major achievements got presented to us. So our photojournalism students received top honors for the 2024 yearbook for the National Scholastic Press Association, which is pretty exciting. Dual enrollment in AP credit. Big Spring students this year have the potential to earn 600 plus college credits through dual enrollment and AP testing combined. And 8 BSHS students competed at the regional journalism competition, and 3 have advanced to states in the categories of poetry, caption writing, and sports writing. So some pretty cool achievements that are happening out of our students, and some pictures that came along with that, and some more specific data connected to our dual enrollment stuff. So we have 58 students taking a total of 85 AP exams for a potential of 250 college credits. 22 of our students are taking a total of 35 Lackawanna dual enrollment classes for a total of 112 credits. And 36 of our students are taking 76 dual enrollment classes through Hack or Ship for a total of 228 credits, which is pretty amazing. And then that's the yearbook from last year. And this is a picture from the regional competition at your college. I was thinking we were going to skip this slide because I thought the student report would probably cover it, but I will go through it quickly. I just want to highlight Minithon, which occurred very, very recently. This year raised $37,000 for Four Diamonds Foundation, which is pretty incredible that our students led that initiative and accomplished that. So kudos to them. And our student council at the high school offers a blood drive annually. And this year's blood drive collected 37 pints of blood from students, staff, and the community, which will support 111 local patients. So again, just really cool things that our students are engaging in and seeking out opportunities to engage in. So kudos to them.
Including Mr. Hippensteel.
Mr. Hippensteel.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
I was a sucker.
So some of the classes I'm going to highlight, one of them is Future STEM Leadership. The idea for this started last February when Ms. Donato took Sean Donaldson and I to a P&C conference, which is a science and tech conference that they offer at the, it's actually Hershey Lodge. And so one of the things we sat in on was something Mifflin County was doing, which they had set up a class for students to teach STEM lessons to lower levels. They actually had theirs set up far enough in advance that they taught theirs in 6th grade, and then 6th grade taught theirs to the elementary students. So we're starting ours, so we're not there yet. So this is the first year that Mr. Donaldson has a class, and I think he has 11 people that are going down to the elementary schools and teaching STEM lessons. The first one they did was a chemistry lesson in which they made homemade ice cream and what else they did?
Oobleck.
Oobleck, thank you. And they also made Oobleck to show about states of matter, solids versus liquids, and how they can go back and forth. And the ice cream was the states of matter with temperature changes. So the next one they're doing is next week, I think, and that's a physics lesson. And right now they're building ramps, and I know this because they have all the cardboard from Minithon that they use for laser tag, and they're making ramps all over my lab. Not happy about it. Anyhow, so they're making ramps so that they can test speeds of height versus length, and they're going to roll Matchbox cars down them and introduce physics. And then the final one they do is toward closer to the end of the year is an environmental lesson. So, not sure what that entails.
I wanted to highlight the shift sales program. So if you're not familiar with shift sales, it is a program for our students who remain in the high school until they're 21, who have specific learning needs. And this is a unique partnership that has grown over a number of years with Shippensburg University that allows our students to be on campus, taking a class on campus, they work on campus, and they are building their job skills with college-age job coaches who are in the education program and learning to become teachers. So it's a really beautiful, like, full circle. And it also allows our students to be with age-appropriate peers. So as opposed to someone who is 20 years old in class with a 16, 17, or 18-year-old, they're in the class with their age-appropriate peers on campus and experiencing that sort of cool social experience. Our first 2 students graduated from Ship Sales last year, and I can tell you it was an incredibly emotional experience going to their send-off because they had already graduated from high school. So it wasn't a graduation, it was them, and part of what their closing experience is talking about what this experience has been for them and what growth they've made and what goals they have. I could cry talking about it right now, I will not. But Ship Sales is amazing, and Ashley Gleason runs that program, and she is crushing it.
Just at the end of last week, our World Language Department of the French and Spanish teachers came together for a World Language Festival. The students are immersed in the culturally significant aspects of both languages. They bring in a guest speaker who kind of goes over some of the cultural enhancements that they might not normally get to talk about. They incorporate the vocabulary that they've been using in class. They prepared some cultural food, but again, using that vocabulary and tying it together. And overall, the students think they're having fun, but they are having fun, but they're also learning different cultural things at the same time.
They all really love the dancing.
Sorry.
In our research writing class, we're working with students to write a professional letter to communicate a grievance. So students select a business and they learn how to address the complaint and submit their complaint respectively to a chosen company. This is not just an activity that they do in class, it is one that they actually send to a community member. So it's an actual grievance that they have, and a lot of times some of the companies will respond back to them, maybe with merchandise coupons or a, we're sorry we disappointed you letter. So they are, learning that interaction in an appropriate manner for real world after high school. And here you'll see our intensive learning support students. They have been doing tons of things in their science class. You can see the first picture, they made a salt mold of a cell, and they had to, make the little pieces, paint it, and they used their resources to help guide them, and they made feedback with their peers in the class. The second picture you'll see is a DNA model. They constructed that themselves, again, to kind of help them hands-on and visually see what a DNA model looks like instead of this abstract context. The third picture, they were experimenting with yeast and how the different effects with yeast combined with, I don't know what else, causes the reaction. And then the last one, they were doing some dissections. They dissected worms and I believe some frogs. And again, using the appropriate tools and learning how to do that. So some of these things, in the past, our intensive learning support students may not have been able to do, but with the guidance and care of their instructor, they're experiencing things that they haven't in the past.
I think as a board, you've heard from Mr. Riley Brown a couple of times and from our business department a number of times, but we'd just like to highlight that the business department reintroduced this year their entrepreneurship class, which used to be the business incubator. And this is a business incubation course Most students actually do go through the actual process of designing a product and doing the marketing and the pitch and all of those exciting pieces. So right now, this year's businesses include a clear bowl for carburetors to make it easier to inspect, a self-regulated cleaning system for residential solar panels, which I can tell you is a large industry and a big problem, and a process for purifying and cleaning different water sources for residential use and consumption. So these are some of the pictures of our students out at the fish hatchery, looking at ways that their product might be able to be used in those spaces. And then they will pitch them to a board of local folks to potentially have their product picked up. So it's a pretty cool class. Our creative writing students this year have submitted their original works to the Young Writers Contest. We are anxiously awaiting results. Keep your fingers crossed, send all the positive vibes that you can.
For the last several years, Belco has partnered with us at the high school for a reality fair. When the students take personal finance, they go down to the reality fair and they have to make different financial choices and see how that would impact them in the world outside of high school. There's a lot of different stations that they go through, and we bring in different members of the community to run those stations. But again, it's sponsored by Belco, and it gives the students a taste of things, you know, outside of just paper pencil. This is what your taxes would look like. And some of the pictures you can kind of see, you know, yes, there are forms there, but they're talking to the students about, you know, if you've got a loan and this is your down payment, this is how much you would still have to pay. And so that they have varying colors there, and you can see as they walk through the reality fair.
Anybody have any questions for us? Comments?
Thank you for all the exciting things you're doing with our students. Any comments from the board?
I'll have a comment.
Go ahead.
With, as far as the blood drive, I did receive a thank you note from Central PA Blood Bank. They were able to use my blood in an emergency situation at the York Hospital. So,
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you.
yep.
Other comments or things from the board? It's great to see the things that all of our high school teachers are doing and all of our students, and the exposure, especially the intensive learning for the special needs students, I think is remarkable. And the ship sails, that has a direct contact with that. I think that's great for our students as a continuation beyond high school. So I would encourage our teachers and our staff to continue to take chances, to take the opportunity to grow with the students and give them experiments and things to do. Maybe not always knowing the result or the answer, but at least trying to create that imagination, creativity, and growth. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other student staff recognition of visitors. We asked everyone to sign on the clipboard for tonight's meeting. We always like to know who's here. And we'll move into the public comment period. Donna, do we have some public comments this evening, please? Thank you to all who filled out the yellow cards for public comment. We'll start with Mr. Michael Deal, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open with prayer, so those who desire, please join me. Eternal God, we thank you so much for your love and concern that you have for your creation. Father, we hold up this evening, this board meeting. We hold up our board members, our teachers, the staff, the students, the parents, and God, in this Big Spring School District, we do hold up every resident, that you would come and minister your love, your compassion on them. Father, we ask that the students from kindergarten to senior high, Lord, that they would be well educated, that when they reach graduation date, Father, that they are ready to move into adulthood and into life to be a productive citizen for this region and for anywhere around these United States. We bless you, we honor you, and we continue to pray your protection over this Big Spring School District. that no weapon formed against it shall prosper, but you shall be our safe haven for your glory and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. Lawrence Flynn, please.
Hello. I'd just like to bring up something that was brought up at the DIG committee a while back ago about customer service and training for our staff. And it was suggested to use the orange trolley. Well, I looked into that, and while there are some good things in that, that's more of a behavioral modification kind of thing. You know, the idea that if you're happy, that will produce better results, which I guess someone who's grumpy who goes to work probably isn't going to do as well as someone who is excited about going to work. But that's not customer service. I had a talk with Dr. Durante after last time, and I just got to commend Dr. Durante. We disagreed with stuff, but you know what? I went away knowing that you heard me. Even though we didn't disagree, you heard me, I heard you, and you demonstrated phenomenal customer service skills. Being a superintendent, you need it, but you've clearly developed that. And that is something we need as a school. Quality customer service training that will continue for every staff member and will benefit them the rest of their life, because they're always going to deal with someone who's grumpy, someone who's difficult, and just simple training like that would benefit our school. So I would just encourage, there's some benefit to the orange frog, but I think we would go with something a little better, a little more robust, or more professional. That's all I have to share. Also, I think they left, but that was a very impressive geometry lesson. I enjoyed that. It brought back some memories. I knew some answers, so I'm grateful for that. But it was very good. Just want to credit the high school math teachers for that.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Elizabeth Flynn, please.
When I was in high school, I learned to drive a car on backcountry roads. When I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, I had no prior experience driving in a big city. But because I had learned how to drive, I quickly learned to capably maneuver rush hour traffic and busy inner-city streets. When I was in high school, I also learned how to do algebra. In my final year, I took the SAT and scored high in math because I had learned algebra previously. 4 years later, I took college algebra to complete math requirements for my BA. I finished the class with a good grade. What did my experience have to do with you? In the last board meeting, we were told, if I could hear correctly on the video, that the 2024 BSSD scores for 11th grade were 50% proficient and above in literature, 49.9% proficient and above in biology, and 28.4% proficient and above in Algebra 1. I was reminded of my experiences taking algebra. The only reason why I was able to do well on my SAT and in college algebra was because I had learned the basics of algebra previously. Contrary to what we were told in the last meeting, the PSSA algebra scores do matter. They reflect that a large number of Bulldogs did not learn the basics of algebra, and we can learn from this. If anyone learns a skill, whether it is driving a car or algebra, that person has the ability to pass tests, progress, and potentially excel in that area. The low PSSA scores reveal that many Bulldogs still needed to learn the basics. If you want Bulldogs to be competent, then first of all, stop ignoring test results and pretending that there are no areas that need improvement. To claim that we are the best after hearing these results is ludicrous. Sure, we have great spirit and excel in some areas, but stop pretending we can't do better. We can never improve if you ignore reality. Secondly, stop making excuses for test results. I don't know what questions were going to be on SAT. I even struggled in math, but I succeeded because I had a foundation in algebra. I had many excuses to do poorly in college algebra. I hadn't had algebra in 4 years. Professor didn't explain well, and I was slow. Always the last one to leave the classroom on test day. But I didn't make excuses for myself. I succeeded because I had a foundation in algebra and didn't even consider failure as an option. How are Bulldogs going to overcome their weaknesses if you make excuses for them? And I have more thoughts that I hope to share in a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Swindler. Arlene Rockford, please.
Thank you for giving me some of your time. First, I want to thank all of you for your diligence. I know there's many of you up here who spent countless hours. There's probably a lot of us who don't really know. You've done tons of research, put out surveys, looked into finances. Some of you have spent hours getting to know your community. We do see you, and we do appreciate the hard work you're doing. Sometimes it probably doesn't feel like it at a board meeting, right? But moving on to a comment also that was made last board meeting, and Mr. Flynn already mentioned this, about having kids be happy so they can learn better. Every good teacher knows that a peaceful, cheerful environment is productive for learning, right? Everyone knows that. So we went on and talked a lot about therapy. Yes, there's kids that need therapy. When they have injuries, mentally, emotionally, they need therapy. There was also a comment made about, yeah, we need to help these kids. Sure we do, but is more therapy better? Well, my daughter just injured her knee. She had to do physical therapy. Now, more therapy would have hurt her leg. The wrong kind of therapy would have injured her leg. My question is, if we keep providing therapy, especially therapy that's not monitored or no data to show results, how do we know that we're actually hurting our kids? And it's not really true that more therapy is better. And during that comment about the therapy, I'm really going to be a little hard on this because it's been bothering me for months and I've not spoken about it. I talked to the president about this before. There was a particular board member who made a very unkind, disrespectful comment during that conversation about therapy. And this particular board member said, we really need to help the kids. That's wonderful. But I had a hard time hearing your words when I saw how you behaved towards another board member. There's a policy at the school. You can look it up. Policy 011 needs to be enforced. Your job is to speak respectfully to each other and have each other's backs. You might not agree. Mr. President, they've elected you to see that that happens. And I suggest this board member make a public apology. And this behavior must stop. We're all here because we care about this community and we care about the kids here. So you've been elected, Mr. President, so please do your job. Fellow board members, please hold him accountable. This hasn't happened from just this particular board member. It's happened from other board members. There may be things I don't see, but when I see it at a board meeting, I can't help but think of the survey where we saw the top thing was bullying. I happen to know that personally. I've heard that over and over and over again, talking to people in this community, so I know it's an issue. What kind of example are we being? Let's all work together to make this school a better place. Future welfare of this community absolutely depends upon the quality education we provide. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Ryan. Jefferson Gurganus, please. Thank you. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me. So, some of you board members know me, some of you don't. I've seen the post in the Sentinel about the therapy here at Big Spring. So, I have 3 individuals in Big Spring. 2 of them have IEPs, and 2 of them receive services for therapy here at Big Spring. So what has me irritated about it is you want to collect data, you want to know these things. It's none of your business. All of these programs are put between the school district, the counseling service, and the parents. We parents have the ultimate say in what's best for our kids. With that being said, most of these kids that receive these services either have a 504 or an IEP. And if they don't have that, they are services that are billed through the insurance company, which you have no right to collect any data. My kid, one of them, is pulled out twice a month for 30 minutes. I don't have to share that, but I will. She does much better now that she's into those services. She was on a waiting list. And we have seen improvement by her being able to have those services. Now, it's in the legal document that she receives those services. Yeah. Here at Big Spring, Mr. Grante knows me pretty well now. I will advocate for any kid at any levels, especially kids with disabilities, because I have to. Actually, I had 3 until we graduated. But it's to the point where the board has to approve these services because they have to come in. Now, you were talking earlier about the special education budget. The budget, so like my daughter, is really easy to say. You said about where we do everything with other school districts. You know, we get kids from them, we send kids to them. My daughter went to Carlisle School District her entire elementary because Big Spring at that time did not have the autistic support classroom that she needed. So yes, there is a lot of back and forth bouncing these kids wherever they need to go, but they're receiving the services that they need. So yes, they get money, we get money, but that's really not even a big thing. I mean, in the end, the kids are getting what they need to prosper, and that's all that matters. But having that money there for that budget, for those services, is what we need here at Big Spring. Big Spring has a large, like Mr. Worrell said, has a large IEP student ratio. And that is very important to watch because it's becoming more and more of a thing. But we have to accommodate those services because they are a legal document. So as far as the programs that are there currently, I hope that none of them ever get cut because they are beneficial. The parents are the ones signing the paperwork, and there's guidelines that they have to follow already in place. This board has no right to even get into that whole ordeal about it. It's none of your business, to be honest with you. But I want to thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Joe, for your comments. That concludes the public comment period for this evening. I will move into approval of minutes. Motion to approve the D committee, the committee of the whole, and the 4 meeting minutes for March 3rd, 2025 as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Shade. Is there any discussion from the floor? Hearing none, I assume everyone votes in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Moving into financial reports. Mrs. Shade, treasurer, please.
Payment of bills, general fund procurement card, $13,465.75. General fund, checks, ACH, and wires, $4,226,738.26. Special revenue, $4,552.02. Capital projects reserve fund, $0.00. Cafeteria fund, $148,863.21. Student activities, $24,214.32. Total amount of all funds, $4,417,833.56. Motion to approve the payment of bills as presented.
Very good. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Myers. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Moving on to Treasurer's Fund Report. We have several reports there provided to us as board members so we can research. These Treasurer's Fund reports are noted. We do not vote on them this evening until they can be verified. Year-to-date general fund report and year-to-date taxes have been prepared by the administration. Year-to-date taxes for the board. The general fund report looks at our revenue and expenses for this year against the budget and compares those amounts to last year. The year-to-date summary shows the monthly collections and collective cumulative collections and compares that to the two previous years. Year-to-date general fund and tax reports are noted. Old business. Do we have any old business from the floor? New business. New business personnel items. Unless there is an objection, we will combine items 9A through 9E into one motion. Do I have any objections? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve personnel items 9A through 9E at this time?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corman. Any discussions from the floor? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain to approve items 9A through 9E. Moving into number 10, new business action items. Approve the LIU Joint Purchasing Board Electric Group and Fuel Group Participation Agreement. This district has participated in the LIU Purchasing Board Electric Group since 2015. Received highly competitive pricing due to hedging. This agreement would extend the use of the Joint Purchasing Board for electricity through 2027. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the continuation of the Lincoln Intermediate Union Joint Purchasing Board Electric Participation Agreement for electric transaction and confirmation with Direct Energy to December 31st, 2027. The administration is authorized to sign the associated documents and contracts with this agreement. Do I have a motion to approve the electric group participation?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion from the floor? Just like to note that this is reviewed by the administration and this saves us money as opposed to paying month by month. We were able to sign an agreement and with Direct Energy and get the best rate. If there's no objections, I assume that everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 10B, recommended approval of student travel. High school principal, Mr. Carnes. Dr. Michael Carnes is requesting permission for the high school students and two advisors to travel to and participate in the following competition: Technology Student Association State Conference in Seven Springs, Pennsylvania, April 23rd and 25th, 2025. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors give approval. Do I have a motion, please, for this travel?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corman. Any discussion from the floor? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Recommended approval of fundraisers. Mr. Scott Penner, Director of Athletics and Student Activities, recommends the following 24-25 fundraisers. There's a bake sale on April 12th to benefit National Honor Society, a serve-a-thon March 13th to the 16th, the middle school volleyball team, and also for Sinay State Middle School principal recommends 2024-25 fundraisers. Student Bristow, March 24th, during the morning wind to benefit Student Council, and Rita Cutlery sale to benefit middle school students. The administration recommends approval of these fundraisers. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone votes in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Recommended approval of school property utilization Two individuals on behalf of the Cloic Soccer is requesting the use of the high school turf field on April 6th and April 12th for state cup games. Because this utilization includes a Sunday, board action is necessary. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the reutilization request as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shea. Dr. Grante, I would assume that since this is a out-of-school group coming in, they have their insurance and liability.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Necessary procedures.
Thank you, Dr. Grante. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative for this school property utilization unless I hear a negative or abstention. Recommended approval 10E of agreement. The following RFP over a 3-year agreement with CrossSafe and March 3-year agreement with CrossSafe at the March 8, 2024 board meeting to secure crossing guard services for Big Spring School District. CrossSafe has been purchased by All City Management Services, who has provided us with a consent assignment of crossing guard services agreement. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the agreement as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shea. Dr. Grande, do we have an effective date for this agreement and an end date?
The contract follows this previous one, which is a 3-year agreement.
Okay.
This is just rolling into that, so we are new with the new outfit, which is All City Management. But the beginning and the end of the contract is concurrent with what was board approved last year.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the floor?
So it essentially ends in 2027.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Grande. Any other questions? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative on the cross-state agreement with All City Management Services unless I hear a negative or abstention. Recommended approval of student trip. Person Ace, middle school principal, recommends the following student trip: horseback riding at Kingsview Acres on Wednesday, April 16th for 8 middle school students selected through PBIS. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the student trip as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Foreman. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstention. Moving on to number 11, information items. 11A, contracted staff update. We have several EASS paraprofessionals being presented. 11B, a long-term substitute through ESS at the district substitute agency. 11C, public notice of the DIG committee meetings. 2 additional meetings have been set up, one on March 31st and one on April 14th at 6 p.m. in the middle school audit commons and have been advertised in the March 12th Valley Times Star. Local advisory executive committee meeting minutes for March 7th. Dr. Sanders provided a copy of the meeting minutes from the committee. They are available for the board. Moving on to board reports, number 12, Athletic Council. Mr. Ken Fisher, please.
I have nothing at this time except for our next meeting is April 2nd.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. 12B, Building and Property Committee. Mr. David Fisher.
Nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Capital Area Meeting, Seth Foreman.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Coleman Perry Area CTC, myself and Mr. Hippensteel. I'd just like to report that the bids are coming back, I think, tomorrow for the building expansion. We've had some good success with some of our students. I know there was an inspection practicum that students participated in. We've had several students do well in local and state contests. And we are working on getting our students accepted for the next school year. Several of our students have received verification notice they are accepted and more to follow. So we're excited about that. Mr. Hippensteel, do you have anything to add?
Meeting coming this Monday.
Meeting coming this Monday, March 27th. 12D, Coleman Perry, we already did that, I'm sorry. 12E, DIG Committee, Mrs. Booth.
Yes, the extra meetings are advertised and were mentioned in the agenda tonight, and the next meeting will be March 31st at 6 p.m. out here in the Commons here at the middle school.
And all are welcome to attend.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Finance Committee, Mrs. Booth.
We had our Finance Committee tonight. Lots of very interesting information. If you missed that, you should watch the video of that. And our next meeting will be April 22nd.
Thank you, and that will be before the board meeting. Future Ready Comprehensive Plan, Mr. Ken Fisher, anything?
Nothing at the time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Policy Review and Development Committee, Mr. Corman.
I think we're outdoing ourselves a little bit. The solicitor has just recommended a whole bunch of policies that have gone to Grante, so they should be showing up on board soon. And we just passed one policy up to the board, which should show up on the agenda next time. And we tabled one that was going to be passed up to the board because the solicitor wanted to review some of the wording.
And our next Policy Committee meeting is April 22nd, before the board meeting at 6 p.m. South Central Trust, Mr. Corman.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Mr. David Fisher, Tax Collection.
Nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Seth Corman, Wellness Committee.
Mrs. Linz, are we still good for the 20th? So we have a wellness committee meeting coming up on the 20th, and I'm guessing people are welcome to attend.
That's the 20th of March.
March, yes.
At what time and where, do we know?
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
In the boardroom in the district office.
District Office Board meeting, 3 p.m. March 20th. Please attend if you can. Future board agenda items. Dr. Grante, do we have any from the floor? Dr. Grante, your report, please.
I'd like to thank Dr. Gruber, Mr. Dinner, and our high school team back there for the presentations today. Lots of good information, and we appreciate you sharing your evening with us. To date, we have 61 kindergarten registrations, 23 at Mount Rock, 17 at Newville, and 21 at Oak Flat. And I know we have more than 61 young people out there, so it's just an encouragement to get registered as soon as possible so that we can make all the necessary preparations for the next school year. In addition to that, we have some enrollment numbers that we can share. 2,354 students to date in our school system, 147 Siler students, 92 of those Siler students are special ed, and 222 is approved homeschool education, and we have 113 in CTC. So those are some enrollment numbers for you. We'll continue to update you on a monthly basis. Got the opportunity on Friday to see Little Mermaid. So if anybody got to see it, you were as impressed as I was. Lots of musical talent up there on the stage and some really, really good singers. This Friday we have no school for students because we have staff development day. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Any questions? Business from the floor, board members. Mr. David Fisher, would you comment?
I meant to ask them about the math teachers when they were here for that job, so I'm going to direct you guys back there. Did you celebrate Pi Day?
Yeah, I did.
I love it. Great. I'm a Pi Day. So, and one other thing, Dr. Ruff mentioned, I was privileged to attend Musical Ed Middle School because a friend of mine was in it. So I went over there, and I'm going to say Big Springs is better because the students were up here playing the instruments in the orchestra. That's one thing that's missing. It's one thing that Big Springs now.
Thank you, Mr. David Fisher. Mr. Corman?
I think it was very nice of the math teachers to come out and show us what they're actually working on. It makes me have some hope that our math scores are definitely going to be turning around. We're keeping an eye on it, and thank Mrs. Gruber and Mr. Ginter for presenting that, and I'm hoping we have success on the math program going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Corman. Mr. Ken Fisher?
Nothing at this time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Odom?
Yeah, I would like to thank Deutsche Bus for 67 years. Don't know the whole story, but I hope everyone is healthy, and again, thank them for 67 good years at Big Spring.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. Mr. Myers? Nothing, Mr. Myers. Mr. Shady?
Okay, I have two things this evening. First, I went to see Big Spring's production of The Little Mermaid on Sunday. I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production. It was fantastic, and it's great to see so much talent in our district. Second, the last week I was provided an opportunity to learn about the Big Spring smartphone app from our awesome tech department. I'd like to begin by thanking Mr. Krebs for all of his help and information. Apparently this app has been around for a little while, but the information was new to me, so I thought I would take a few minutes to share. I have a 3-page visual to follow along with if anybody wishes to do so. We'll begin with just a few facts about the smartphone app. The Big Spring School District app gives you a personalized window into what is happening at the district and schools. Get the news and information that you care about and get involved. What's new? There were minor bug fixes and improvements recently made on March 6th. The app has been downloaded around 800 times to date. The app has data features, no data shared with third parties and no data collected. The app contains an activity stream, which is a compilation of new items and social media posts from Big Spring Twitter and Facebook accounts. The app also includes links to commonly used district items such as the Aspen portal, the school directories, this district calendar, the athletics website, the athletics arbiter schedule, and transportation services. There's also a link to photos, which are images from the gallery folder of the district website. On the app, anyone can view the district and school news. They can use the district tip line, receive notifications from the district and schools, access the district directory, display information personalized to your interests, and parents and students can view and add contact information. Now I know you're all thinking, Mrs. Shade, how can I get this impressive Big Spring smartphone app? Well, I've got that information for you, along with easy step-by-step installation instructions. The app is available for Android and iPhone, so you'll either go to the Google Play or App Store and search for the Big Spring School District. I've attached images on what the app looks like in both versions. Step 1, locate the app and download. Step 2, after downloading, open the app. Step 3, choose if you want to receive notifications. Step 4, scroll to the bottom of privacy policy and click agree. Step 5, at the welcome screen, select choose from list. A pop-up screen will show for permission needed. The statement reads, your location will be used to show bus routes, directory information, and detailed information on the organization's events. Just click OK. Step 7, choose a specific school or multiple schools and select next. Note, when multiple schools are selected, you will see district items duplicated multiple times. This is normal. Step 8, you're done. Click on finish. Once inside the app, you will note 4 buttons on the bottom of your screen. The home button takes you to the activity stream. Notifications shows notifications. My app currently shows there was a test on March 10th. Settings allows you to rate or share the app, manage the app, push notification details, and has a link to the privacy policy. More takes you to the page with the links to Aspen, school directory, calendar, athletic schedule, and transportation and photos. The image on the left is an example of the activity stream, and the image on the right is the more page. I found this to be a pretty handy little app, connecting parents and students' favorites all in one simple location. Give it a try. If you don't like it, you can always uninstall.
Thank you, Mrs. Shea. We've got one for tech workers.
Thank you, Tech Department.
Mrs. Vivian.
Sure. I'd like to thank the teachers that came out to share with us what is going on at our high school. A lot of those things and assignments sounded very familiar to me. And also thank you to our math teachers for giving us an update as to what we are doing to help improve. I appreciate hearing that. And also I'd like to say a personal thank you to Mr. Myers and Miss Lehman, who have stepped away from field hockey, but I know my daughter, for one, and my family appreciate what you've done for our field hockey, and we will miss you next year. So thank you very much.
Mr. Evans?
I don't have anything tonight.
Thank you. We're over two-thirds done. I was in 2 of the buildings today, spent a lot of time with the staff and teachers who saw their students and the lunch line. I saw in one classroom that there's 50 days between now and the end of the school year. Some students are pretty excited about that. Spring is coming, March 20th, so things are happening outside. Our spring sports are in full swing, and hopefully our students are getting ready for the next phase of their development, whether it's another grade or graduation or Pro Tech or the spring sports. We wish them all well. I think as we close this evening, a lot of information was shared on the budget. That's a working document. It's not finalized by any means. We have to digest that. We have several meetings, but our next meeting is in April. So we'll take 2 meetings in April, 2 meetings in May, and come up with a budget that represents a fair representation for the community and our students and the needs that they have. I wish each of you well this evening. Thank you to all who presented. Thanks for the community, and thanks for those of you that joined us online. Do I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. David Fisher. Any discussion? There is none. I assume that everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Have a good evening. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Would you, are you